Can I clean your house in exchange for food? Lily's voice trembled as she asked, clutching her baby close at the gate of a millionaire's mansion. Her clothes were torn, worn thin by months of hardship. Her eyes carried the exhaustion of countless sleepless nights. The baby in her arms was quiet but hungry, a fragile reminder of her desperate fight to keep going. But then the millionaire saw her, saw the child, and everything froze. His world shifted in a single moment. Who was this woman? Why did her presence shake something deep inside him? This isn't just a story about poverty or wealth. It's about pain and kindness, about memory and the unexpected second chances that can change a life forever. Her name was Lily, 27 years old, standing at a crossroads few understand, holding her 2-year-old son, Noah. No job, no family left, no safe place to call home. Just a stroller with a broken wheel, a threadbare blanket, and a fierce determination to keep her child safe. Once, she had been someone with dreams, with degrees, with plans for a future that now felt like a distant memory. Life, however, doesn't always follow the script we write. It hit hard and fast. The bills piled up, support vanished, and suddenly, the woman who had it all was reduced to a desperate plea at a stranger's gate. Yet, in that fragile moment, hope was about to find her in the most unexpected way. She hadn't eaten a proper meal in 2 days. Lily's arms ached from holding Noah for hours, her legs weak from walking across town with no real destination. But when she saw the mansion's gate, something inside whispered, "Try." With trembling hands, she knocked. The cold iron felt heavier than it should, as if judging her poverty. She wasn't just looking for food. She was asking for a second chance at dignity. When the door cracked open and a woman in uniform appeared, Lily's voice broke into a whisper. "Can I clean your house? For food? For my baby?" There was no pride in her words, only survival. And even survival felt like a distant dream. The housekeeper froze. She'd seen homeless people before, many of them. But something about Lily was different. Maybe it was the way she held the baby so gently, like he was her only anchor in a sinking world. Or maybe it was her eyes. Tired, yes, but not broken. There was no anger, no begging, no dramatics. Just that quiet voice, full of humility and pain, asking not for money, not even for help, but to earn her meal through cleaning. That's what struck her. Lily wasn't looking for charity. She was offering her struggle in exchange for food. And that was rare. Noah whimpered in her arms, barely old enough to understand hunger, but old enough to feel the tension in his mother's body. His cheeks were sunken, but his tiny hands clung to Lily's sweater as if he trusted her with everything. And he did. That kind of responsibility changes you. It forces you to show up even when life throws nothing but closed doors. And Lily had faced more closed doors than most people face in a lifetime. Job interviews where no one called back. Shelters that had no room. Strangers who crossed the street when they saw her coming. The cleaning, that wasn't just about food. It was about being seen again, not as a burden but as a person. The housekeeper didn't speak right away. She just stared at the child. Her hand gripped the doorknob as if unsure whether to let this moment in or shut it out. But deep down, something shifted. You see, real humanity doesn't respond to perfection, it responds to rawness. And Lily, standing there barefoot, exhausted, and poor, was the rawest reminder that life can turn upside down in an instant. One lost job, one health emergency, one betrayal, and any of us could be her. The line between stability and homelessness is thinner than people like to admit. And sometimes, it's the softest voices that carry the biggest truths. Lily had cleaned before, not mansions but motel bathrooms, gas station floors, and once, a retirement home where the residents remembered her name more than the manager did. She wasn't afraid of mops or bleach. What scared her was the idea of giving up. But today, standing in front of this house, she was out of options. She had tried shelters, churches, community centers. Nothing. All full. All tired of saying no. So she did the only thing she had left. She asked. Asked with her eyes, her hands, her whole presence. And behind her soft-spoken words was a scream that no one else seemed to hear. There's a strange kind of courage in being vulnerable. People mistake it for weakness. But have you ever looked someone in the eye and asked for help, while offering something back, even when you have almost nothing left? That's not weakness. That's integrity. That's what Lily had. A billionaire might hold power, but Lily held humility, and sometimes that holds more weight than money ever could. Because humility demands respect. And deep down, we all want to be respected, not pitted. Lily didn't want handouts. She wanted the chance to earn a meal. That's what made this a real story, one worth remembering. Still, there was silence. Just the baby's faint breathing and the hum of life behind the mansion's thick walls. Lily stood her ground, not defiantly, but with a kind of quiet patience most people wouldn't understand unless they had slept on concrete or skipped dinner so their kid could eat. Kindness had been rare lately, but she still believed in it. And if the woman behind the door said no, she would try again tomorrow. Somewhere else. That's the thing about struggle. It teaches you persistence. Not because you want to be strong, but because you don't have another choice. And in that persistence, a transformation begins. In a world obsessed with money and success, we forget how powerful it is to be asked for help in a way that honors both sides. Lily wasn't a statistic. She was a woman with a past, a child with a future, and a request rooted in dignity. All she wanted was to clean, to sweep, to wipe, to scrub away the dirt of her circumstance in exchange for food. And behind that mop was a mother's love, fierce, unshaken, and determined to protect. It's easy to scroll past homelessness online, but when it knocks on your door, literally and figuratively, it demands more than attention. It demands heart. And maybe that's why the housekeeper didn't close the door right away. Maybe she saw her own daughter in Lily or her grandson in Noah. Whatever the reason, something shifted. A hesitation, a heartbeat, and a glance toward the upstairs window, where, behind the glass, someone else had been watching the entire scene unfold. A man who wasn't known for compassion. A man who rarely flinched at poverty. But something about this moment made him pause. Behind the tinted glass of the upper window, Mr. Donovan stood motionless, hands clasped behind his back. To the outside world, he was the kind of billionaire whose wealth seemed untouchable: boardrooms, private jets, guarded estates. But in that quiet moment, his cold gaze fixated on the woman at his gate. Normally, he wouldn't have noticed. He was used to shutting out the poor, the homeless, the broken. But something about her posture, the way she clutched the baby, the way she didn't beg, disturbed the edges of his silence. He didn't understand why. Not yet. But a piece of his past stirred uncomfortably. Donovan wasn't cruel, just distant. After building empires from scratch, he trained himself to see struggle as noise in the background. Everyone wanted something, and in his world, help wasn't free. It was earned. That's why he rarely looked down from his glass office, even when protesters gathered at his gates. But this woman, she wasn't yelling or accusing. She was offering to clean. That humility unsettled him more than 1,000 complaints ever did. It reminded him of something he had buried long ago, a version of himself that once knew hunger, rejection, and quiet shame. He turned away from the window for a moment, trying to shake the discomfort. His mansion was a fortress built to keep the world out. Marble floors, imported rugs, priceless art. Everything designed to reflect success and erase the memory of where he came from. But no rug can cover everything. And sometimes all it takes is a single human act to pull back the curtain on your own history. Donovan had worked hard to forget what it felt like to be ignored. Yet watching that woman, something in his chest tightened. Not out of pity, but recognition. His staff never saw this side of him. He was the type to fire someone over a typo or a smudge on the glass doors. Perfection wasn't a standard, it was a requirement. That's why seeing Lily offer to clean hit differently. Not because the marble needed polishing, but because her offer wasn't desperate, it was honest, dignified. And when people speak with dignity, even the hardest heart notices. Donovan had become the man no one questioned. But in that moment, he started questioning himself. Not out loud, not yet, but deeply. He watched as his housekeeper hesitated, torn between procedure and instinct. It was a familiar struggle. Years ago, Donovan had stood on the other side of a glass door too. Denied entry, dismissed, judged. Back then, he made a vow. Never to need anyone again. And he kept that vow with the armor of money and status. But what happens when your armor starts to crack? Not from enemies, but from memories. That's what Lily had unknowingly done. Crack something. Something human. Something forgotten. It didn't make sense. And that's why he stepped back. He didn't open the door. He didn't speak. He simply walked away, back into the echo of his polished hallway. But his steps were slower than usual, more uncertain, because that baby, that tiny child being held so tightly, wrapped in worn fabric and a mother's hope, that was something no wealth could silence. Babies don't ask for privilege or pity. They just breathe, laugh, cry. And for some reason, the image of Noah wouldn't leave Donovan's mind. It followed him down the hall like a question he didn't want to answer. At his desk, he tried to work. Emails blinked. Notifications popped up. But none of it mattered. That's the thing about real moments, they interrupt. They wedge themselves into the cracks of your routine and demand attention. And if you ignore them long enough, they become regrets. Donovan had no room for regrets. His entire life was built on control. But that woman at the gate, with her calm voice and tired eyes, had stirred something uncontrollable. Something that didn't fit into a spreadsheet or board meeting. And so he sat there, staring at nothing, surrounded by everything. Expensive silence is still silence. And wealth doesn't insulate you from your own conscience. Donovan had spent decades building a world where he didn't have to see struggle. But sometimes, struggle finds you anyway, in the form of a mop, a whisper, and a baby's soft cry. And when it does, you either turn colder, or you start to remember who you were before the money. Because some moments don't knock twice. And while Donovan didn't know what he'd do yet, the woman outside, Lily, wasn't going anywhere. The door creaked open wider than expected. No words, just a silent invitation. The housekeeper handed Lily a small bowl of leftover soup, still warm, but barely enough for one. Lily didn't complain. She sat on the edge of the steps and fed Noah first, spoon by spoon, pausing every few seconds to wipe his mouth with a corner of her sleeve. He didn't rush. He trusted her to deliver every drop. And once he was done, she allowed herself a few sips. Not for comfort, for energy. Because her next move wasn't to rest, but to clean. She stood slowly, joints stiff from days of sleeping upright. Without asking, she reached for the mop resting against the wall near the entrance. It wasn't assigned to her. It wasn't offered. But she picked it up like it belonged to her, like the house itself deserved her attention. No one stopped her. She dipped it in a bucket and began to scrub the marble foyer, inch by inch. Every stroke was precise, intentional. There was no rush, no resentment. Just purpose, the kind of quiet, focused dignity that doesn't ask to be noticed, but should be. Some people clean with resentment. Others clean with pride. Lily cleaned with something deeper, gratitude. Not because she loved the job, but because it was a transaction she could control. She didn't have power over money or housing or opportunity, but she had power over how she responded to help. And she chose to honor that help. That mop became more than just a tool. It was her voice, her thank you, her reminder that even in struggle, you can offer excellence. True dignity doesn't come from wealth. It comes from the way you handle your smallest moments. While she worked, Noah lay beside the bucket, curled up in a blanket on the polished floor. He was too tired to cry, too young to understand the stakes. But every time Lily glanced at him, her eyes softened. That little boy was the reason she kept moving. He wasn't just her son, he was her anchor, her reason. And she believed that if she kept cleaning, kept working, kept believing in small acts of progress, then maybe the universe would give her just one more opportunity to rise. There was something unshakable about the way she scrubbed the floor, almost sacred, like each motion was wiping away more than dust, wiping away shame, fear, rejection. The housekeeper watched from a distance, confused. Not because Lily was homeless, but because she carried herself like she wasn't. And that's the twist. Many of the most humble carry the richest character. Struggle had refined Lily, not broken her. And that's the kind of transformation no billionaire can fake, no money can buy. It's earned one mop stroke at a time. She didn't clean for tips. She didn't expect praise. But in her mind, she had made a promise to herself. If someone feeds my child, I will leave this place cleaner than I found it. That promise was rooted in her identity. Life had taken her education, her home, even her sense of safety. But it hadn't taken her character. And when the world strips you of everything, your character is the only thing left standing. That's what makes it so valuable. That's why it must be protected at all costs. Some people pass homeless mothers on the street and think, she must have made bad choices. But that kind of thinking is lazy. It misses the full story. Because Lily wasn't lazy. She was a college graduate, a woman who once dreamed of teaching. But life threw her 1,000 curveballs. And still, she chose to show up, not to beg, but to contribute. That mop in her hand? It was her resume, her handshake, her silent pitch to the world that she was still here and still trying. And maybe, just maybe, someone upstairs was noticing. As the light shifted across the marble floor, you could see streaks of reflection. Not just of the chandelier above, but of Lily herself, hunched over, steady, unstoppable. The kind of reflection that says, this isn't where I end. This is just where I start again. Because every transformation begins with one brave act. For her, it was asking for food. For others, it might be making one call, sending one email, knocking on one door. What matters isn't how much you do. It's how intentionally you begin. And while no one spoke, and the house remained quiet, something else had shifted. Not in the furniture, not in the air, but in the perception. The housekeeper, once hesitant, now watched with something like admiration. And behind the scenes, those same cold eyes upstairs had returned to the window watching again. But this time, not with indifference, with something else entirely. The next morning, before the sun fully stretched across the sky, Lily stood once again at the mansion's gate. No announcement, no expectation, just her Noah bundled close to her chest, and that same quiet resolve. She didn't knock this time. She waited, not out of fear but out of respect. She wasn't here to disturb anyone. She wasn't chasing money. All she wanted was a little food and a small, safe corner for Noah to rest. And if they let her clean again, she'd be grateful. If not, she'd simply walk away. But deep inside, she hoped. The housekeeper opened the door with less hesitation this time. Surprise flickered across her face. Not because Lily had returned, but because she had expected her not to. Most people in Lily's condition didn't show consistency. They drifted, disappeared. But Lily came back, with the same eyes, the same soft tone, the same humility that had left a mark. "I can clean again," Lily said. Just that. No sob story. No bargaining. Her presence spoke more than words ever could. Because real commitment doesn't scream. It shows up quietly, repeatedly. There's power in showing up when no one's watching. In returning not for praise, but for purpose. That morning, Lily cleaned the floors again, starting where she had left off. She didn't ask for different rooms or better tools. She didn't act entitled. She simply resumed her work, as if she'd always belonged there. That consistency, that grounded energy, was something even wealthy people struggle to maintain. You can't buy hunger like that. Not the kind that pushes you to earn your worth back piece by piece. That kind of hunger is sacred. Noah lay near the stairwell, wrapped in the same faded blanket, his eyes fluttering between sleep and wonder. He wasn't crying. He wasn't fussing. He just watched his mother. And in that watching, there was something unspoken. A trust so deep it didn't need words. Babies understand energy more than logic. And Noah felt safe. Not because of the mansion, but because Lily was there, doing what she always did, protecting him even through struggle. Sometimes, survival looks like a mother mopping a stranger's floor with a smile. The housekeeper brought a few crackers and a small piece of cheese. Lily didn't devour them. She split them with Noah, savoring each bite like it was a banquet. That kind of appreciation can't be faked. You learn it only after hunger teaches you how little you need, and how much a little can mean. In that moment, wealth wasn't the mansion or the food. It was the connection between a mother and child, and the invisible thread of kindness extended by a stranger who didn't have to care, but did anyway. Every time Lily rinsed the mop, it felt like she was rinsing something deeper, rinsing off labels like poor, homeless, forgotten. She didn't see herself through the lens of pity. She saw herself through action, through movement, through contribution. And that's something most people miss. Contribution doesn't require money. It requires willingness. Whether it's cleaning a floor or helping a neighbor or even just listening without judgment, contribution restores dignity. And for Lily, dignity mattered more than any handout. As she moved from the entryway to the back hall, she hummed softly, not out of joy, but out of rhythm. The rhythm of rebuilding, of reclaiming a sense of self. People think transformation is loud, flashy, sudden, but sometimes it's quiet. It begins with a mop, cracker, a soft place for your child to sleep. And before you know it, you're not just surviving anymore, you're reimagining what's possible. That shift doesn't need celebration. It just needs space to grow. And that mansion, for now, had become that space. No one in the house had told her to come back. No promises had been made. No job offer dangled. But Lily returned anyway, because sometimes all you need is a place to start. Not a big break, just a clean floor, a soft rug, and someone who doesn't shut the door in your face. That's what she was building toward. Not wealth, but momentum. Because when you're at the bottom, momentum is everything. And every day you return, even when you're exhausted, you remind the world and yourself that you're still in the fight. And upstairs, Mr. Donovan noticed again. He hadn't meant to look, but something made him glance down. And there she was again. No drama, no tears, just that same woman, mopping his floor with silent purpose. Something about that unsettled him more than he expected, because she hadn't asked for help. She had simply returned. The soft echo of laughter broke the silence in the grand hallway. Not the laughter of someone wealthy, not of someone careless, but the delicate, heartwarming giggle of a child too young to know struggle. Noah, crawling across the polished marble, tapped at his reflection in the floor, fascinated. His chubby hands slapped the surface, and his tiny voice bounced off the walls like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. It was the kind of sound you couldn't fake, the kind that pierces straight through any hardness, even in places built to keep the world out. The housekeeper paused, mop in hand, and smiled, not out of obligation, but because that laugh was impossible to ignore. "He's a happy boy, considering," she said softly, almost to herself. Her voice carried a mix of admiration and quiet sorrow, because she could see. Anyone could. That happiness like Noah's wasn't bred from comfort. It was born from the love he absorbed from Lily, day after day, even in hunger, even in fear. That kind of joy doesn't come from toys or money. It comes from feeling safe in someone's arms, no matter the circumstance. Lily didn't respond. She simply watched him, eyes heavy but full of awe. Her lips curved into a tired smile, the kind only mothers understand, that blend of pride and aching. She had nothing in her pockets, no security, no guarantees, but she had that moment. Her son laughing, alive, playful. And in that moment, she had more than most. Because when you faced rejection, silence, and empty hands, the sound of your child laughing feels like proof that you haven't lost everything. That maybe, just maybe, you're still doing something right. Noah pulled himself up using the leg of a chair, wobbled, and fell gently onto a rug. He giggled even harder. His joy wasn't fazed by the grandeur around him. He didn't care about gold accents or imported tiles. What mattered to him was presence. His mother nearby, safe walls, warmth. That's the brilliance of children. They don't measure value in dollars. They feel it. And that's a lesson even billionaires forget. Real wealth isn't loud. Sometimes, it's just a baby's laugh in the middle of a quiet room. There was a time when Lily dreamed of big things. A classroom with her name on the door. a bookshelf filled with lesson plans and little hand-drawn cards from students. But life had rewritten those plans in cruel handwriting. And yet, here was Noah, reminding her that she hadn't failed. She'd just taken a different test. One with harder questions. One with fewer lifelines. And this small moment, this beautiful, fleeting sound, was her answer key. It was proof that love, consistency, and kindness still matter, even when the world forgets you. The housekeeper crouched beside Noah and handed him a wooden spoon from the kitchen. He banged it against the floor with unfiltered joy, as if conducting a symphony. Lily chuckled gently, the sound almost foreign to her own ears. It had been so long since she'd laughed without guilt, without wondering if someone was judging her for finding happiness in the middle of hardship. But that's the thing about moments like this. They sneak in. They slip past the pain and remind you of your humanity. They remind you that even in poverty, joy has a seat at the table. In many ways, Noah was more than her son. He was her compass. Every decision, every risk, every early morning, and every long walk was for him. She didn't clean floors for charity. She did it for his future. And that giggle, that was her return on investment. Not in dollars, but in meaning. The kind of meaning that fuels you when your legs are tired and the world seems deaf. Because when your child laughs despite the struggle, you realize you're building something bigger than survival. You're building resilience. Some people think being poor means you have nothing to give. But Lily gave everything she had. Her time, her strength, her patience, her love. That hallway wasn't just cleaner now. It was warmer, more human, because of one mother and her little boy who refused to let circumstance dim their spirit. That's the kind of transformation no headline ever shows. But it's real, and it's happening in small, quiet ways, like a child's giggle echoing off marble walls. And as that laugh carried up the stairs again, someone else heard it. Mr. Donovan, pacing silently near the window, froze once more. He hadn't heard laughter like that in his house in years. And it wasn't just the sound. It was what it represented. While gathering Noah's things into a small cloth bag, the kind you'd find at a dollar store, something slipped out and fluttered to the floor. It wasn't money. It wasn't food. It was a photo worn at the edges, creased down the middle, like it had been folded and reopened 100 times. The housekeeper noticed it first. She bent down and picked it up carefully, expecting maybe a baby picture or something ordinary. But what she saw made her stop. It was Lily, dressed in a black graduation gown, cap slightly tilted, holding a newborn in her arms. She blinked, confused. The photo didn't match the woman scrubbing her floors. This wasn't someone who had always been homeless or broken. This was someone who had reached a milestone that many never do. A diploma in one hand and her son in the other. The contrast was jarring. How does a college graduate end up cleaning for food? How does someone who once wore that proud smile fall so far without anyone catching her? The housekeeper looked at Lily with fresh eyes. Suddenly, this wasn't just about kindness. It was about misjudgment, hers and maybe everyone's. Lily noticed the photo in the woman's hands and paused, mid-sweep. Her expression didn't change. She didn't panic. She just let out a long breath, the kind that carries 100 unspoken memories. She reached for the picture with gentle fingers and gave a small nod. "Yeah," she said, her voice almost apologetic. "That was the day I thought everything was about to get better." The housekeeper didn't know what to say, because that sentence said everything. Behind it was a life story full of turns no roadmap could have predicted. Graduation was supposed to be the beginning, the launchpad to opportunity, stability, and recognition. Lily had worked hard for it. Late nights with a baby on her chest and a textbook in her lap. Tests taken between feedings. Papers written during Noah's naps. And yet, here she was trading cleaning for food. The photo wasn't just a keepsake. It was a reminder of what once was, and of everything that had quietly slipped away when life stopped playing fair. There's something cruel about reaching the top of a staircase only to find the steps behind you gone. The housekeeper, still holding the mop, found herself ashamed of her earlier assumptions. She had pitted Lily, but now she felt something else, respect. Because anyone can fall. But not everyone keeps going. Not everyone returns to a stranger's doorstep with nothing but a mop and a whisper. And definitely not everyone does it after once standing on a graduation stage, eyes full of dreams. That photo changed the dynamic. It peeled back the label of homeless and revealed the truth. This was a woman of substance, just temporarily forgotten. There's something deeply powerful about proof. A single photo can force the world to look again. Because we live in a society obsessed with surface. We think someone on the street must have messed up their life. We think success is permanent and failure is a personal flaw. But Lily's picture shattered that illusion. She wasn't a cautionary tale. She was evidence of how fragile life can be and how quickly a dream can slide into a fight for basic survival. Not because of laziness, but because of life raw, unfiltered, and unfair. For a moment, no one said anything. The room held a kind of stillness that only comes when truth is exposed. Lily tucked the photo back into her bag, gently, as if it were her last piece of identity. And maybe it was. Maybe that image was her proof, not to others but to herself, that she had once stood tall, that she had once been seen, and that somewhere deep down she still was that woman in the gown, just buried under layers of dust, missed chances, and nights without sleep. Noah babbled nearby, completely unaware of the shift in the room. But the housekeeper wasn't. She looked at Lily differently now, not as a cleaner, not even as a guest, but as someone who had been something and still was. She didn't know Lily's full story yet, but she wanted to, because the photo wasn't just a glimpse of the past. It was a portal, a bridge between the woman Lily used to be and the one she was trying to become again. And upstairs, the sound of footsteps paused once more. Mr. Donovan stood just beyond the stairs, unseen, listening. Something about that photo. It stirred a feeling he hadn't felt in years. Lily's story poured out slowly, each word weighed down by the gravity of reality. She had been a top student, a shining example of what determination could achieve. College was supposed to be her stepping stone, the launchpad for a life that could finally escape the shadow of poverty. But life, as it often does, had other plans. Noah's father left suddenly, abandoning them to face the harsh streets alone. The bills piled up faster than she could pay, her mother passed away, and the fragile safety net she once had unraveled in an instant. The dreams that once seemed so close slipped away like sand through her fingers. She spoke quietly, but every sentence carried the weight of struggle. The kind that doesn't just wear down your body, but chips away at your spirit. There was no room for complaints or excuses, just facts. Life-changing events that pushed her from student to struggler overnight. Imagine being at the top of your class one day, then forced to learn a new language. Survival. No textbooks, no tutors. Just raw, relentless hardship. The street doesn't care about GPA. It only cares if you have a place to sleep tonight. What makes Lily's story so real, so human, is the way she never let those hardships define her worth. The world often tries to reduce people like her to labels: poor, homeless, rejected. But Lily refused to be reduced. She carried the humility of someone who knows what it means to fall, but also the fire of someone who refuses to stay down. She wanted to be seen as more than her circumstances. She wanted dignity. She wanted respect. She wanted a second chance. And every day since then, she fought silently to earn it. Her story is a reminder that life's toughest battles often come when you least expect them. You might be climbing a mountain, only to face a landslide that threatens to bury your progress. But that's when character matters most. Not charisma or charm, but the quiet resilience to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Lily had to find strength in the smallest things. A kind word, a hot meal, a safe place to rest. Those small moments are like fuel for the soul, and without them, survival becomes nearly impossible. She never asked for pity. Instead, she sought opportunity. One that didn't come wrapped in charity, but in respect. Because there's a difference. Charity often comes with strings and shame, while respect offers empowerment. She wanted to work, to contribute, to prove that her story wasn't just about loss. It was about transformation. And that transformation starts with being recognized for your humanity, not your hardships. It's easy to look at someone like Lily and judge the why behind their situation. But the truth is always more complex. Life doesn't hand out fair deals. Sometimes tragedy isn't punishment. It's just life being life. And the strength to endure isn't about luck. It's about choice. Every day, Lily chose to keep moving forward. She chose to love her son fiercely, even when she was empty inside. That kind of courage is what changes stories from tragedy to redemption. Think about how many people hide struggles behind smiles and clean clothes. The homeless aren't just faces on the street. They're complex stories, like Lily's. Stories of potential, loss, love, and fierce hope. Her journey shows us that beneath every hardship lies a person who deserves more than judgment. They deserve a second chance. Sometimes that second chance begins with the smallest acts of kindness and recognition. And in that recognition lies the seed of change. Not just for Lily, but for anyone who's ever been knocked down. Because when you see someone, really see them, you give them permission to rise. And that's the first step towards something life-changing. Meanwhile, upstairs, the man behind the glass began to connect the dots. Memories long buried, stirred. This story wasn't just anyone's. It was personal. In the midst of hardship and uncertainty, Lily's voice softened as she spoke about Noah, the fragile center of her universe. "I didn't lose everything," she said, eyes fixed on her son's gentle movements. Noah wasn't just a baby. He was her reason to breathe, to push forward, to believe in a future beyond the struggle. Even in the darkest nights, when hope seemed just out of reach, Noah's presence anchored her. That tiny heartbeat was a reminder that life, no matter how battered, still carried meaning, a reason for change. The baby's cries, small but persistent, were a call to action more powerful than any words. Each day, Lily woke before dawn, not for herself, but for him. She found strength in the routine of care, the feeding, the rocking, the soothing whispers. That love became a shield against despair. In that love, she discovered a fierce humility, an unyielding dignity. No amount of money or status could replicate the kind of respect she held for herself in those moments. It was raw, real, and life-changing. Sometimes the world measures success in dollars and achievements, but Lily's success was different. It was in the way she could smile, even when the streets called her home. It was in the nights she stayed awake, cradling Noah, dreaming not of luxury, but of survival and safety. And that kind of success isn't flashy or recognized in headlines, but it's profound. It's the kind of victory that's earned in quiet battles fought behind closed doors, battles most people never see. Noah's innocence was a mirror reflecting what truly mattered. His tiny hands, his curious eyes, his laughter, all reminded Lily that transformation begins with the smallest things. It starts with nurturing not just the body, but the soul. Even when life had pushed her to the edge, that baby brought her back. He was a daily reminder that change is possible, that second chances exist, and that dignity can survive even the toughest circumstances. There's something deeply human about caring for another life. It forces you to find strength you didn't know you had. Lily's story is a testament to that. While money could never erase the struggle, the baby's presence gave her something priceless: purpose. And with purpose comes opportunity. The kind of opportunity that isn't handed out, but earned through relentless determination and kindness. Kindness toward oneself and others. As she looked down at Noah's peaceful face, Lily realized that her life's most significant transformation had already begun. It wasn't about reclaiming a lost past or chasing wealth. It was about building a future, one small step at a time, fueled by love, respect, and unwavering hope. That realization changed everything. It shifted the narrative from survival to thriving, from being forgotten to being recognized. This baby had changed more than her life. He had changed her heart. Where once she might have felt invisible, she now felt seen. Where once there was fear, there was courage. Where once there was despair, there was a spark of faith. That spark would soon ignite something neither Lily nor the world could ignore. A transformation as surprising as it was inevitable. Upstairs, behind the glass, someone else was paying attention. That baby, that love, that undeniable force. It was shaking the foundations of a life built on money and distance. And it was only the beginning. Time has a way of unraveling secrets in the most unexpected moments. When Mr. Donovan finally stepped down from his secluded perch, his steps were hesitant, slow, as if the weight of the past pressed heavily on him. He asked Lily a question, simple but loaded. "What college did you attend?" The words hung in the air, breaking years of silence between them. Lily's answer was calm, steady. It was the moment when the past and present collided, when the faces behind faded memories became clear again. Recognition isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes, it's a quiet glance, a flicker of memory that refuses to fade. Donovan stared, eyes narrowing as the pieces clicked together. This was the same woman who had once tutored him during his own darkest days. The one who had seen potential in him when no one else did. Back when he had nothing, she gave him confidence, knowledge, and most importantly, belief. The irony of this moment wasn't lost on either of them. The one he had helped was now the one in need. That recognition sparked something deeper than nostalgia. It stirred a long-forgotten respect and gratitude that had been buried beneath years of success and detachment. Mr. Donovan remembered how he had felt back then. Rejected, lost, desperate for a second chance. Lily had been his lifeline, the quiet force behind his rise. Now, seeing her there, struggling but unbroken, he faced his own past in a new light. It was a reminder that real success isn't measured by wealth, but by the people you lift along the way. Lily's eyes met his with a mixture of surprise and guarded hope. She hadn't expected this moment. Not here, not like this. She wasn't looking for charity or sympathy. She was here to work, to earn respect, to rewrite her story on her own terms. But that recognition opened a door, a chance to transform not just her life, but his as well. It's a rare gift, to be seen fully, remembered deeply, and offered an opportunity born from shared history. There's a lesson here about the power of kindness that lasts beyond moments. The help Lily gave wasn't transactional. It was human. It was about recognizing dignity where others saw none. And sometimes that kind of help circles back in the most unexpected ways. When you give without expectation, you create ripples that can change lives years down the road. Mr. Donovan's recognition was proof that even small acts can carry immense power. This moment also challenges the way we think about success and failure. It's easy to write off someone who's fallen as a lost cause. But Lily's story reveals the truth. Everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone can change. And sometimes the person who once helped you will be the one to help you again. This time in a new role as equals partners in transformation. Recognition isn't just about remembering. It's about honoring journeys, scars, and the unbreakable human spirit. Mr. Donovan's respect deepened as he saw the humility in Lily's posture and the fire in her eyes. This wasn't a woman asking for a handout. This was a woman ready to rise, ready to give back, to lead, to transform others the way she had once been transformed. That realization shifted the dynamic. It was no longer about charity. It was about partnership, about a shared mission to create real change. As the housekeeper watched quietly from the sidelines, the atmosphere shifted from awkwardness to something hopeful. Two lives, once crossing paths in different circumstances, now converged with purpose. And upstairs, the man who had ignored beggars was beginning to see the true meaning of respect, dignity, and redemption. The words hung heavy in the room, filled with the weight of unspoken gratitude and raw honesty. "You don't remember," Mr. Donovan said quietly, "but you helped me when I had no confidence." His gaze softened, and for a moment, vulnerability replaced his usual guarded demeanor. The boy he was then, broken and unsure, had found light in Lily's patience and guidance. Now, years later, he was the one holding out a hand, not out of pity, but out of deep respect and an unshakable debt. It's a rare and humbling moment when the tables turn, when the person who once received help becomes the one offering it back. But this isn't charity. It's the profound cycle of humanity, a reminder that kindness creates lasting bonds, ones that defy time and circumstance. Mr. Donovan wasn't offering a handout, he was offering a bridge. A real chance for Lily to rebuild with dignity and honor, just as she had once helped build him. He looked down at Noah, the tiny life that had anchored Lily through every storm. "I owe you both," he admitted, voice thick with emotion. Those words weren't just about gratitude. They were a promise, a recognition that success is hollow without compassion, and wealth is meaningless without heart. Mr. Donovan saw in Lily's struggle a reflection of his own past, and in that reflection, he found purpose to change the story. This moment encapsulates the true meaning of redemption. It's not about wiping away the past or pretending hardships didn't happen. It's about acknowledging pain, embracing growth, and offering real opportunity. Lily's journey had come full circle, from a tutor's quiet support to the student's powerful offer of help. It's a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the transformational power of kindness. It's also a reminder that success is rarely a solo journey. We all stand on the shoulders of those who believed in us, often when we believed least in ourselves. Mr. Donovan's gesture wasn't just a payment of a debt. It was an investment in a shared future. A future where those who fall are lifted, where second chances aren't rare, but expected. Where dignity and respect lead the way, not judgment or shame. There's a lesson here about humility and reciprocity. Giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin, and the strength lies in embracing both with grace. Lily's willingness to accept help wasn't weakness. It was courage. And Mr. Donovan's willingness to offer it wasn't weakness either. It was wisdom. Together, they were rewriting the narrative, proving that life-changing moments come from human connection, not just money. This exchange also highlights the profound impact that a single act of kindness can have, echoing through years, shaping lives in ways no one could predict. Mr. Donovan's respect wasn't just for Lily's past. It was for her future, the future he was now part of. And that future held the promise of transformation not just for one, but for many others like Lily and Noah. As the room settled, a new chapter began. One written not in hardship, but in hope. Not in rejection, but in recognition. And upstairs, watching quietly, Mr. Donovan felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He wasn't just a billionaire ignoring the poor anymore. He was part of something bigger, a chance to make real change fueled by kindness and respect. When Mr. Donovan offered Lily a job, it wasn't a handout. It was a lifeline, an invitation to step into a new chapter with dignity and purpose. He didn't want her to feel like a charity case. He wanted her to feel like a partner. "Work with me," he said. "Help others the way you helped me." Those words carried weight. Not just promises, but responsibility, trust, and respect. This was more than money changing hands. It was about transformation rooted in respect, humility, and opportunity. Lily's acceptance wasn't immediate or easy. She insisted on earning it, not because she doubted the offer, but because she believed in the power of work and self-respect. The chance to contribute, to build something meaningful, was the true gift. It's a lesson many forget. Success isn't just about what you receive, but what you give back. When we help others rise, we climb higher ourselves. Lily's new role wasn't charity. It was leadership born from struggle and strength. This moment revealed how kindness and opportunity can rewrite a life story. The foundation where Lily now worked wasn't just an organization. It was a beacon for the forgotten, a place where stories like hers became stepping stones instead of dead ends. Helping single mothers, forgotten youth, and those rejected by society became her mission. It wasn't about pity. It was about change, real, lasting, and life-changing. Mr. Donovan saw in Lily the same spark that once ignited his own journey. He recognized that true impact comes from empowering others, not simply handing out money. His foundation wasn't about charity events or publicity. It was about planting seeds for growth, resilience, and dignity. Lily's presence there was proof that those seeds could blossom into powerful leaders, even from the most unlikely places. There's a lesson here about the kind of help that matters. It's not about temporary fixes, but sustainable change. Providing a paycheck and a purpose meant more than a meal or a bed. It meant respect and recognition, the building blocks of true redemption. Lily's story shows that real transformation requires opportunities that honor a person's humanity, not just their need. For many, accepting help is the hardest step. Can feel like surrender or failure. But Lily's journey teaches us that accepting help with pride is a strength, not a weakness. It's a step toward reclaiming control and rewriting your future. It's about partnership, walking together towards success, rather than receiving handouts alone. Imagine if more people were given this kind of chance. What if society focused less on judging and more on lifting? What if success stories included those who had fallen and risen again, not just those who never stumbled? Lily's new chapter is a powerful reminder that second chances don't just change lives. They change communities. Upstairs, Mr. Donovan watched Lily work, no longer as a homeless cleaner, but as a leader in her own right. And somewhere deep inside, he knew the real work was just beginning. That night, after a day filled with uncertainty and hope, Lily and Noah finally rested somewhere safe. The guest room was modest but warm, a stark contrast to the cold nights spent on sidewalks and benches. Noah stretched out, his tiny body sinking into the softness of the bed, and for the first time in what felt like forever, he slept without a single worry. Watching him, Lily's eyes filled with tears, not of sadness, but of quiet relief and profound gratitude. This was more than a bed. It was a symbol of change, of dignity restored. There's a healing power in rest that often goes overlooked. For someone who has known only struggle, the chance to sleep safely, uninterrupted, is revolutionary. It allows the mind to ease, the body to recover, and hope to rekindle. Lily's tears were a recognition of that healing. A moment of vulnerability, revealing the depth of her fight and the promise of something new. It's in these small victories that life-changing transformation begins. Noah's peaceful sleep was a balm to Lily's worn spirit. His steady breathing reminded her that she was no longer alone in the battle. They had crossed an invisible line, from mere survival to safety, from rejection to acceptance. That bed wasn't just a place to rest. It was a foundation for rebuilding, a foothold in a life that once seemed lost. Every parent knows the comfort a child's rest brings, and in that comfort, Lily found a spark of hope she hadn't felt in years. It's important to remember how basic needs, like a bed, are often luxury to those in hardship. When people say success starts with education or job opportunities, they forget that stability begins with safety and rest. Without a real bed, without peace at night, progress can't happen. Lily's story is a powerful reminder that meeting these fundamental needs is the first step to creating lasting change. Watching her son sleep, Lily allowed herself a rare moment to dream. She envisioned a future where Noah wouldn't have to struggle the way she did. A future where he could grow up with respect, dignity, and the opportunities she once imagined for herself. That hope gave her strength to face the uncertain days ahead. Because when the fight is for your child's future, you find reserves of courage you didn't know existed. This moment also underscores the deep humanity behind homelessness and poverty. It's not just about money or lack of resources. It's about reclaiming dignity in every act, from a safe place to sleep, to a meal on the table, to the chance to work and contribute. Lily's journey teaches us that kindness isn't just about charity. It's about restoring people to their full humanity. As dawn broke, Lily watched Noah wake refreshed, his smile brighter than it had been in months. That simple joy was a reminder that change is possible. It might start with a bed, but it doesn't end there. It grows into opportunities, success, and most importantly, hope. It's the kind of transformation that ripples out, touching lives beyond what we can imagine. And somewhere upstairs, Mr. Donovan noticed the shift too. The house that once echoed with cold indifference was beginning to feel a little warmer, a little more alive. The story of a homeless woman and her baby was no longer just about struggle. It was becoming a story of redemption, one bed at a time. Lily's comeback wasn't sudden or easy. It was built day by day, moment by moment, with quiet determination and fierce love. She started organizing outreach programs for single mothers who, like her, had been overlooked and forgotten. Speaking at schools and community centers, she shared her story, not for sympathy, but to spark hope and ignite change. Her journey became a beacon, showing others that dignity and respect can be reclaimed, even from the depths of struggle. Her son Noah was always by her side, the living proof of resilience and love. Wherever she went, his bright smile reminded people what true strength looked like. Lily's work wasn't just about providing food or shelter. It was about rebuilding lives with purpose. She knew that offering opportunity and respect was the real path to transformation. The woman who once cleaned floors for scraps had become a voice for the voiceless, a leader who understood the pain and potential of those she served. It's easy to underestimate the power of lived experience. Lily's past was her greatest asset, the key that opened doors others couldn't reach. She didn't just speak about struggle. She embodied the struggle, the humility, and the hope that followed. Her story challenged stereotypes and shattered assumptions. For many, she was proof that success isn't about never falling, but about rising again with heart and humility. Her comeback also showed the importance of community and connection. No one rebuilds alone. She leaned on friends, mentors, and even the very foundation that gave her a second chance. That support didn't erase her past, but it gave her the strength to move beyond it. Lily's journey is a powerful reminder that kindness, when combined with opportunity, can transform not just one life, but entire communities. For those watching, Lily's story invites a question. What comeback are you holding inside? What dreams, buried by hardship or doubt, are waiting to be rediscovered? Her path shows that it's never too late to reclaim your dignity, rebuild your life, and find purpose in your pain. It starts with small steps, a conversation, a program, a smile, but those small steps can lead to life-changing impact. In her speeches, Lily often emphasizes one truth: success without compassion is hollow. The real victory is measured in the lives changed, the hope restored, and the cycles broken. Her son, her greatest motivation, became a symbol of that victory, proof that love and resilience can overcome even the harshest odds. Watching him grow strong and joyful gave her purpose deeper than any paycheck or title. Lily's comeback was also a lesson in leadership, not the flashy kind, but the kind that's forged in humility and perseverance. She led by example, showing others that true power comes from lifting others up. Her story isn't just about personal redemption. It's about creating pathways so others can rise, too. It's about changing the narrative from forgotten to unforgettable. As the years passed, the housekeeper and many others saw the transformation. From a woman who once cleaned floors in silence to a mother and leader who spoke loudly for those who couldn't. And upstairs, Mr. Donovan watched with quiet pride, knowing that the real success was this: a life changed from the inside out. 1 year later, the transformation was undeniable. Lily no longer wore the clothes of someone on the brink. She drove a small car, paid rent, and most importantly, held her head high. The same woman who once knelt to mop floors had risen to become the director of Donovan's community branch. Her journey wasn't about erasing the past, but using it as fuel for a mission greater than herself. She led with humility born from hardship and with a heart full of gratitude that kept her grounded every step of the way. Leadership isn't about titles or fancy offices. For Lily, it was about showing up day after day for people who were once invisible. She remembered the cold looks, the dismissive attitudes, how being poor felt like a sentence. Now, she was the one opening doors and creating opportunities. Her empathy wasn't learned in a classroom. It was forged in the fires of real struggle. That kind of leadership inspires trust because it's authentic and earned, not handed down. Noah, now a little older, thrived in daycare while his mother worked tirelessly. The car she drove wasn't a luxury, but a symbol of progress, every mile reminding her of how far she'd come. The rent she paid was more than a bill. It was proof that stability was possible. This story is a powerful reminder that change is a process, made up of small victories that build momentum. Sometimes the biggest leap is simply refusing to give up. Her work at the community branch wasn't just a job. It was a calling. Lily organized programs, mentored young mothers, and pushed for resources to help those caught in cycles of poverty. She understood that respect and dignity weren't just nice words. They were essential tools for rebuilding lives. Her leadership brought a fresh perspective, one grounded in experience, empathy, and relentless hope. People began to see her not just as a survivor, but as a beacon of transformation. The shift from cleaner to leader also highlights a vital truth. Potential often hides behind circumstances. Many people like Lily are overlooked simply because of where they start. Her story challenges us to look beyond appearances and to recognize the strength beneath the surface. She's proof that with opportunity and support, anyone can rewrite their story. This is not just a tale of personal success, but a call to action for society to nurture potential, no matter how hidden. Imagine the power of leaders who truly understand struggle because they've lived it. They bring authenticity, compassion, and a fierce commitment to change. Lily's journey is a blueprint for that kind of leadership, one that heals, uplifts, and inspires. It's a reminder that true leadership grows from the ground up, nurtured by experience and a heart willing to serve. Every program she initiated, every life she touched, echoed the lesson that transformation isn't about perfection but progress. The respect she earned came from actions, not words, and that respect rippled through the community, creating a culture of possibility where once there was only despair. Her story is a beacon, proof that even the humblest beginnings can lead to powerful change. Upstairs, Mr. Donovan watched this shift with growing admiration. He wasn't just investing in a community branch. He was witnessing a profound transformation, the rise of a leader who carried the heart of the people she served. And this was only the beginning. Lily's journey came full circle on a quiet afternoon when she spotted a young woman at a shelter, a mirror of her own past. The woman held a baby close, eyes full of fear and uncertainty. Instead of looking away, Lily smiled warmly and walked over. "Let me tell you a story," she said softly. "It starts with a mop and a miracle." In that moment, Lily became more than a survivor. She became a beacon of hope, ready to offer the kindness and opportunity that once saved her. Her story wasn't just about personal redemption, it was about creating a legacy. The chance to give others the dignity and respect that had once been denied to her was the most profound gift. She knew the power of a second chance, how one act of kindness can ripple across lives and generations. Now, she was the one holding the door open, guiding someone through the shadows toward light, just as someone had done for her. This moment highlights the deep humanity that binds us all. The struggles, the fears, the hopes. They connect us in ways money and status never can. Lily's mission was no longer about overcoming her own obstacles, but about lifting others out of theirs. She understood that true transformation happens when we invest in people, not just projects. When we see potential, not just problems. For the young woman, that simple invitation to listen and belong sparked a flicker of hope. It was more than just words. It was recognition, respect, and a chance to rewrite her story. Lily's compassion was a bridge from rejection to acceptance, from struggle to success. It was the kind of kindness that rebuilds dignity and restores faith in humanity. This final chapter of Lily's story is a powerful reminder. Change isn't a solo journey. It's a cycle of giving and receiving, teaching and learning, falling and rising again. When we help others stand, we strengthen the whole community. Lily's life became a testament to the fact that transformation is contagious. One person's success can light the way for countless others. Her work continued to grow, fueled by passion and lived experience. Every life she touched became part of the ripple effect she started years ago. It's a story of humility, resilience, and unwavering commitment to change. A story that teaches us all that no one is forgotten, no one is beyond help, and every heart deserves kindness. Upstairs, Mr. Donovan watched the scene unfold, knowing that this was the real miracle. Not the money or status, but the human connections that transform lives. Lily's journey, from cleaning floors for food to leading a movement, was proof that the greatest wealth lies in our shared humanity. As she guided the young woman inside, Lily whispered a truth that would echo for generations. This is just the beginning. And with that, a new story started. One written not by poverty or rejection, but by hope, respect, and second chances. Sometimes all a mother really needs is food, and a door that opens. Lily didn't ask for luxury or pity, just dignity. She gave what little she had, working with every ounce of strength and love. And in return, she received more than she ever imagined possible. Her story isn't rare. It's the story of countless forgotten souls who struggle quietly every day. But what is rare, truly rare, is someone willing to say yes when the world is busy saying no. Be that yes for someone. Don't close your door too quickly. You never know who's standing on the other side, or what child's future might depend on your kindness. If the story touched your heart, don't let it end here. Subscribe to Millionaire Breakthrough to discover more stories about quiet heroes, life-changing moments, and real second chances that redefine what's possible. Share this with someone who believes in dignity, hope, and the incredible power of a mother's love. Together, we can create a world where no one is forgotten, and every heart has a chance to rise.